YouTube channel. You're going to see that I'm wearing the same shirt in a few videos. So today I'm doing a video about Green Tara and how I connected with her. So, and this is by Kamini Gupta. I'm going to remember her name now because I keep saying it. And she's coming out with an oracle deck. But yes, Green Tara. How did I connect with her? So, I'm going to talk a little bit about one of my dark nights of the soul, because I've had two, and this is the more recent one. And during this time, I was already in an awakened state. The first time around, it was the start of my awakening. And this time it was like, if you know the hero's journey or like story structure, it's like when things seem like all is lost, but it's not. And I was aware of that, which helped me move through it. But in that dark night of the soul, I found myself staying on my friend's couch, paying a small amount of rent that was affordable to me at the time, but living on a couch nonetheless. And I was in a deep depression. It was I knew it wasn't a lifelong thing that I was going to go through. I knew it was just something surfacing from the past, but it was very heavy for me. It was really heavy. So the only thing I could think to do was paint. I'm not an artist. A lot of people tell me like, oh, you should say you're an artist if you're painting. But I truly feel like there's people who are dedicated to art that are artists. I just did it because that's the only way I could channel my pain into something. And I'm not going to go into the details, at least not at this time, of what was so painful to me. But maybe in the future. But yeah, I'll leave it at all I could do was paint. And I was also listening to an audiobook at the same time called The Celestine Prophecies, which was so awesome because it was giving me it's a fiction novel, but it was giving me a new point of view of the world and how energy moves around, and it felt very true. It's a fiction novel, but the principles discussed, I immediately recognized them. So that was keeping me company, and also audiobooks. I was re-listening to A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle, and also listening to his talks on YouTube. So, Dark Night of the Soul. Here's one of the paintings I made. This one I started it when I was 19 years old, and then I think I was either 28 or 29 when I finished it. And I'll show you what parts. Okay. So all these, all the lines that are this size, I started when I was 19. That was the last time I had sadness about something. Yeah. But this was my dark night of the soul when I was in my late 20s. And then I added in, it was hard because I think I did it backwards, but I put in these colors afterwards. And this is basically my perception in a very conceptualized way of source or the universe. You see there's all the lines that are this size, but then if you look closer here, there are lines that are more microcosm. Can you see that? Yeah. So I made this painting first, and then after I finished it, I kept going. I got other canvases that would connect to this main canvas, and the painting would be a different um, a different layer of reality. So like the next painting over was the when you take space and time, and it was the start of space and time. See, I can't put it into words, so I had it in a painting that makes sense. And so there are different paintings that connect to different aspects of my perception of reality. I was having a very existential depression. And it culminated in me getting to my heart chakra, really opening up right here. So here is this painting I made of a green woman who I later associated with Green Tara. So when I was making this, I had her eyes closed. I'm trying to be in this video at the same time. I had her eyes closed because I wanted to see the world. I knew someone had done something really hurtful and they hadn't told me yet, but I knew. But I still loved them. I still love them unconditionally because they're my good friend. And so it's beautiful to have a strong friendship with someone and see through the human stuff they do and really be connected to them on a heart level, because that was the foundation of our connection. So that really, I saw them on a soul level before this happened, and I knew that this was just their programming, their pain from the past, and that it wasn't personal. So I painted her eyes closed because I wanted that sense of seeing with the heart and not with the eyes. Unconditionally loving. And here is like waters that are really stormy waters. That's like my emotional landscape at this time. I wanted to like feel the serenity that you see on her face. And so she's drinking up this. And then the painting above this is a calm lake. Like her hair turns into trees or into like a meadow, and there's just this calm pond in the middle, very serene. She drinks up that suffering, and then there's the serenity in her. I saw her as kind of like a Mother Earth at the time. And the ladybug. So I have a ladybug tattoo. Let's see if we can see it. And it's a little bit faded. I don't know if you can see that. I'll see in the video when I'm editing it. It's really faded, but it's a ladybug, and she has a peace sign shape in her. I should get it touched up maybe. Because it's so little, I think the lines kind of bleed as I have aged. But Ladybug is the name that I used to be called when I would teach dance, or when in Girl Scouts when I was a camp counselor. In dance class when I'd work with like 3 and 4-year-olds, my name was Miss Ladybug. And kids love that. They like calling you something magical. But Miss Ladybug or Ladybug is like my inner child. So I like to stay connected to my inner child. And the symbolism here is you have the ladybug over her heart. And the shell is open. That's like the protective shell. And you have to open, the ladybug has to open her shell in order for her wings to open so she can fly. Which means, symbolically, that I have to kind of open my shell, open my heart, so that my soul can fly, so that I could live on this earth as compassionately as possible. So that's what the painting is. And about like 2 years later, I started connecting more with witchy type content on YouTube. I still don't identify as a witch, though when I was younger, I was very into witchy stuff. Like I think I showed you guys, yes, I did, in my middle school video, that I was super into witchy stuff, and now I have a very witchy deck. I use this, it's childlike, but it's the Witchlings deck by Paulina Cassidy. I use that for inner child work now. And so a lot of the tarot content that I was finding online was by witchy people. And one of them is by Jessie Huntenberg. And she talked about a matron goddess. And I was like, have I ever had a matron goddess come to me? Oh, and what set this off was, in this oracle deck, this is Soul Space Oracle, there's a card. It's important for the story. So this card, and this is by Jen Berlingo, I think that's how you say her name. This card came out for me, Witch. And there's like these crystals here, and the question I had asked this deck, or I feel like we're asking ourselves the questions and the decks are reflecting back the answers. So the question I was asking myself was, why am I so drawn to oracle and tarot and all that? And I got the Witch card, which is why I was exploring whether or not I am a witch. And I've settled more on mystic just because I am drawn to the idea of being one with the divine. That's more of my central focus. But I was exploring and I saw the Jessie Huntenberg video, and I was like exploring whether or not there was a matron goddess for me. And then I had this painting up in our living room in Chicago, and I remembered that she came to me. And so I started Googling. I Googled green goddess, and what came up was the salad dressing green goddess, which is a really delicious salad dressing. But then I had to refine the search results. I like, you know how you can do subtract and then you put in quotes what you don't want to show up? Subtract salad dressing. But I kept green goddess. And that's how this wormhole of internet research led to green Tara. And let's see if I can get it. You know what? I have it in this, now you can see it more clearly. The painting is so beautiful. When I found this one, I immediately made it my phone background, and I wanted it for my altar. So this is a postcard. So I found green Tara. This wasn't the first image I found of her. But the first thing I found of her was information about her backstory. And I'll pull this out because there was a lot of synchronicities in her backstory. So she's a goddess of compassion, or a bodhisattva. She's like a female Buddha. She'd reached an enlightened state. And she very specifically chose to be a woman. She very specifically wanted to be incarnated as a woman, and keep coming back as a woman, because that was seen as the lesser sex. And so she wanted to show that that was a very important a path you could take to enlightenment, as being a woman. And she's very compassionate. She's helped, I think her name means star, and I painted her over a sky full of stars. So that was the first synchronicity. Actually, no, the first synchronicity was compassion, which was me trying to be very compassionate as possible. Then the star thing also the fact that she's green. And the final thing that pushed it over the edge of me realizing, oh, green Tara is my matron goddess, if I have one, is that she ferries people over troubled waters. And I had painted the waters that were very turbulent, that when she drinks that up, it turns into this very serene place. So yeah, that is how I connected with Green Tara. I was excited to share it. Some stuff that I do to connect with her is I use her mantra. These are the beads I use. I got them specifically for Green Tara. The blue lotus represents her, and this one has a gold lotus on it. I have this candle holder that I light when I do my Tara mantras. And when I do this practice, I've experienced certain obstacles get out of my way in ways that I can't describe, like relationships healing that I wasn't expecting to heal. I won't go into details right now, but a lot of different magical things. So I don't know how to explain my belief in this. Like sometimes I view like goddesses as these archetypes, but then these really magical things happen where things are healed that I wasn't expecting to heal when I just do this basically prayer to be more compassionate and to invite more compassion into my relationships. One time I did my mantras with the intention of wanting to invite compassion into a certain relationship, and I didn't actively reach out to this person, and I wasn't trying to get her to be more compassionate, and energetically maybe she sensed that because she's the one who took that first step. For me, Green Tara represents loving kindness in action. And so I try not to just be kind and compassionate, but also put it into action. Sometimes the best I can do is be not reactive in certain situations and still hold my feelings as valid and do self-work. But other times I feel inspired to go out into the world and actively pay kindness forward. So yeah, if you work with Green Tara, I would love to know how she has inspired you. I know that Maha works with Kuan Yin, which is lots of parallels, and I think in some cases is considered the same goddess. I'm not sure, not an expert, but yeah, if you work with any goddess or bodhisattva, I would love to know what kind of connection you have with them, or a god, or an energy. Yes. Anyways, I'm sending you guys love and compassion and loving kindness, and I will see you in the next video.